Sorry. We've got Surrender versus Tyler coming up now, and another just big deal. We can see Surrender has shielded his Druid here, and Tyler's shielded his Rogue. Okay, Tyler shielded his Rogue yesterday as well, and then he has his Warrior banned out. Sorry guys, I'm just literally reading out notes I'm making. Yeah, let's just get everything on the line here. Here we go. Go away, go away, go away. Okay, so
this matchup has big implications.
It really does, because Surrender is currently 0-3.
Yeah.
He is already qualified to the global final. He will be at BlizzCon playing for the title, of course, but he can also get relegated this season, which would be very strange. Just to go relegated, but you make BlizzCon anyway. And I know as well, and we had a similar discussion last season in the, I think, week 3 or 4, I can't quite remember, in that Surrender basically said, I've lost some matches, I don't like losing, and it's not good enough. I will,
turn this around.
Turn on full focus surrender mode and win. And then he qualified. So you can't really argue with someone if they just say that and then do it. But we'll see. He'll be very upset with himself right now, I imagine. And he'll have to just sort himself out, because as we said, just as much as it was a dicey match for Patra and Blitzchung in the previous one, it's just as bad for Surrender. He could go 0-4, which is terrible.
It's true, and it's not only for his own pride, it's for the pride of players who have qualified through to BlizzCon, because if Surrender is to lose this series, PNC, Fino, and Surrender, who are the 3 representatives outside of China in Grandmasters going through to BlizzCon, if Surrender loses, they will have a combined record of 1-11 in Grandmasters Season 2, with PNC the only player to have picked up a victory so far. It's just crazy how, with the switch over from, I don't know if it's Specialist over to Conquest, or the new expansion, the new nerfs, whatever it is, these players are just doing awfully.
It could purely be coincidence as well.
It's a small sample
because
size.
if you
It's a
look,
small sample
Surrender's
size.
lost 3 matches of Hearthstone. Like, people lose a lot. Like the best player in the world has lost many matches of Hearthstone. It could just be you get clumps of them. It's like when you ladder. If you have a ladder and you've lost 6 games in a row, and you're like, I'm just so bad. Well, you might win 8 games in a row soon, which evens it all out, of course. But we'll see how this goes. Because one thing for sure, and I'll just commit to this, I don't think the players are being lazy, because as we said, you'll get relegated if you lose. So they may well be qualified for BlizzCon and then for the global final, but if they come bottom of their division, they are out of Grandmasters next season. And that's just the way it is, and we won't see them then. They have to fight to get back in, which is very, very difficult, as we know. But let's get into this game. Game number 1 of match number 3 of the day. We are almost halfway through the day. Surrender on the top on the Druid. And guess what? Tyler on the bottom, also on the Druid. These builds do differ, though.
Yes, they do. Not quite so much. This is not a Highlander Druid for Tyler, despite what he may have you believe.
Or what he may have himself believe.
Yeah, exactly. But Surrender in a, what I would call, pretty nice position to get things rolling on the coin, which is fantastic to get the quest activated further, get yourself initiative, and also Crystal Merchant, single best card to have in your mulligan with this quest Druid deck. Really nice start.
Yep, I'm just kind of trying to work out what is missing. It's really difficult. Because it feels like Surrender just plays way more stuff. Surrender has Elise. Oh, it's Zephyrus, right? Okay, so it's Elise and Chef Nomi for Surrender.
Yes.
Versus Power of the Wild and Zephyrus for Tyler.
Correct.
So Surrender basically has way more stuff to do and more levels of threat.
But
whereas,
time.
Well, exactly. Tyler has kind of ace up his sleeve, which is the ever-present Zephyrus, which, as we've said time and time again, Zephyrus can just win you a game. You just play it one turn you want, depending on the board set.
I like the decision here for Surrender to go coin on turn 1. Like, I always wonder with Crystal Merchant in hand if it's worth passing the coin on turn 1 and then going Merchant coin on turn 2. But given that he has the Oasis Surger in hand, I think getting that down on turn 5 is critical.
Yeah, I personally think it's never worth it.
Really?
Yeah, I would never do that.
Interesting.
Okay. I might do it if I think I'm against an aggro matchup. Well, that's highly aggressive, because then you get the 1-2 down, the 1-4 down earlier. But for me, you still just end the quest a whole turn slower.
But I debate if that is always necessarily better, because ending at turn 5 before turn 6, unless you want to be reactive and play Starfall, which in the aggressive matchups is worth it. If you want to be proactive, Oasis Surgery is the only good card that gets better with quest activation.
Right? Loti.
Loti, I guess, as well. But I wouldn't even be that side playing that just in stealth poison form a turn before the quest is activated anyway. So I would say, you know, if he didn't have Oasis Surger, I would consider going Merchant Coin, because then the quest is activated heading into turn 6, which is when you play Nourish.
Interesting, interesting.
I still don't think it's necessarily even correct, because you could top deck the Oasis Surger. Well, as you said, you still have low T.
Yeah, and the issue for me at least is you make that decision on turn 1 of the game. Right. You were drawing like 4 more cards, maybe more if you have Crystal, you know, Crystal Merchant. Even on 3, you draw 5, 6 more cards maybe, which means you might well get to it, and then if you do get to it and don't have it activated, your turn 5 stinks.
And that's why I think it's probably still correct to usually do what Surrender did. It's just an interesting thought.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm the first one to say the turns 1 to 5 are very wonky with Druid, and I still don't think anyone's really got it fully nailed down for every matchup.
Very nice play here by Tyler. We're going for a play we rarely see anymore, actually, which is the Nourish before you go for the quest completion. And due to the fact that you float mana crystals, you get full mana crystals when you ramp with Nourish as opposed to Wild Growth. It means he's floating mana crystals, and he has 8 mana heading into his quest turn. It's pretty nuts.
And this Surrender has to have a read that Tyler has Nourish number 2. Because I don't think that play would happen if you didn't have Nourish.
I think you can have it really strong.
Yeah, because it's a fancy turn and it looks cool, don't get me wrong.
But if you have no cards.
If you then play the game with 4 cards versus your opponent was 1 million, it is horrendous.
I agree.
The way this deck falls over is when it doesn't draw.
King Feoris coming into the hand now for Tyler means he can put forward a very, very threatening board in the next few turns, but he just needs to try and wrestle back initiative first, or it's just going to get value traded to Kingdom Come.
What about just Wrath down the 5/2 and then just Worthy Expedition? Obviously do that the other way around, but Worthy Expedition into Wrath, you know, whatever. You know what
Starfall's nice. I like that a lot.
Oh. No, you couldn't. Never mind.
I think he's wondering if he should ever... there's a lot of decisions here. We could see Crystal Merchant just to cycle through your deck quicker. We could kill off the... killing off the opposing Crystal Merchant, I don't even think is that ridiculous, just to deny the card draw. But I guess the damage has been done at this point.
Because the worry now is... So, the issue Tyler may have, will be better now because of Flight, is... If he doesn't do something, remove some damage this turn, he takes a big hit. And the board probably gets bigger. Well, if the board gets bigger, then Tyler might have to Starfall next turn. And if he Starfall next turn, his King Fioris gets worse. And then it never gets better a lot of the time.
I think I think the thing I disagree with from Tyler here is what I would imagine trying to get into his mindset is he's setting up for a strong Starfall next turn. Because obviously a 5 health and a 2 health. It seems like a perfect setup. You tank the 10 damage, that's not so bad. He's not playing around Hidden Oasis at all here though. Hidden Oasis massively screws up his game plan. It means Surrender can heal it up, get the you know, the perfect board domination going forward.
And also,
he doesn't even want to go for it.
And well, the problem for me is what's Tyler's... I mean, Tyler's got the follow-up after Starfall, which is 255. But is it... I don't know, is it that good? Now he's just going to play Fioris into this. This seems horrible.
He does have to tank an awful lot of damage, and Surrender with the swipe as well has pretty much the perfect clear up. In fact, he does have literally a perfect full board clear, and he can push the rest face. I mean, he has more than that with the spell power, right?
Yeah,
it's very, very easy.
But does he need to?
You think there's a way he can
what does Cenarius do to this board? I'm just saying.
True,
like,
okay, yeah, good point.
He has Swipe, he has Cenarius. I'm not saying he should, but I think you always have to consider, one thing I always get trapped into now and again, I have to sort of shake myself out of it, is, oh, King Fioris, how do I clear the board? What if you just pretty much kill them first? You know, and players can miss like good pushes of damage by being overly defensive.
I think that's where you have to be careful though, because if you do go for the aggressive push and then they clear your board and push face, that's when the Druid can start to swing things back.
100%.
Or if they play Hidden Oasis.
Yeah. I am not saying it's 100% the correct play,
but
I think you do have to stop. And I think it's very easy to get locked into, oh, quick, remove. And it's like, well, you could have killed him 2 turns ago, you know, and that, you know, removes him from the game. But I think this is too good a removal, as far as I'm concerned. It's so clean, and it's so much damage.
So much damage.
Tyler's just on 11 health.
Yeah, I like the attack as well with the War Druid Lota. You can often consider leaving it stealthed, but I think the 4 damage is definitely worth it at this point, just to set up a scenario.
And also as well, the spell damage has done its job. Yep. There are no spells left. Push the damage, and if it's removed, oh no. If it's not removed, well, you just gained 4 damage for nothing.
Going back to Surrender's play last turn of the Nourish over the Hidden Oasis that I was looking at, this does work out very nicely for him in the way that he gained extra mana crystals last turn, which allowed him to do this play, which would otherwise not have been available. So, I mean, to be fair to Surrender, the play I was looking at last turn, while I guess it was immediately more powerful, did have a pretty big downside of having less mana crystals. So I think overall he just found the better line.
Yeah, and it's why Nourish is so powerful. It draws you more cards and makes those cards you draw playable. Yeah. Because you gain mana. Normally, it's one or the other.
Tyler wrestling back there, though, does have the ability to get ahead of the board quite easily. He's making the smart kinds of plays. He just saw Swipe and Starfall, so he makes a play that is vulnerable to both Swipe and Starfall now, because it is unlikely for the second ones to be there. Look like Power of the Wild there. Just for something a little bit cheap, because this hand's so expensive at the moment.
Yeah, you know what? I can get behind that. I would take a quick glance at Ancient of Lore because it just isn't bad when you do get to do both.
I think
it's more of a.
The last one
I think it's more when you've already got bored.
Yes.
You could do cool heal your minions. It's very nice, and the cycle obviously with the Nomi deck is good. But yeah, I think like when you're behind, Ancient of Lore is not the card.
It makes me so sick to look at Ancient of Lore. You run back to it was like draw 2 or heal 8. Like both options have been nerfed. It was so sick back in the day. I mean, it was way overtuned.
It was literally like the dream card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another power play here.
Oh man, this is such a good Starfall here. The bees are just the perfect size to take out this board entirely. And Tyler is managing to swing this around, quite surprising.
He is. The issue that Tyler has this second in time is he's way behind on health. And it's not like he's got an overly threatening board, right? Like Surrender's not going to die next turn, which is normally the threat you kind of put forward as Druid right now.
Yeah, he's not dying for a while with double Oasis in hand. But he does need to swing back board because I think eventually he will start dying.
Yes, I think I'd like to see Surrender, try and, in a roundabout way, like hyper draw. Just play spells, get to Nomi, slam it down, and then laugh. Because there's no good way. And if Tyler's spending enough mana to kill off the Nomi turn, then he's done nothing else that turn, because it would require, like...
So does that involve, in your mind, playing the Nourish, even if it overdraws cards?
I wonder.
With Elise in hand, I think you can get away with it, because you can just Elise Nomi.
I think even that's probably too brutal. I think one Elise, one Nomi probably wins in the game, assuming he's seen his Empress.
I'm waiting for no one.
Yeah, he has.
He has not.
Yeah, this is fine. Just get the cards out of your hand. Get the cards out of your hand. Whichever way you want to do it, whatever.
Does mean there's another very easy board clear, however, with the Starfall. I mean, I'm definitely looking at Starfall and Crystal Merchant this turn, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
Or double Swipe. But then, of course, Crystal Merchant doesn't draw cards.
Yeah, and more importantly, Swipe Skullface. Starfall doesn't. You convert one card into 9 damage this turn. It's insane. And a card drop to a certain extent.
I wonder if he's thinking he should save the Starfall for a potential top deck King Phaeoris, because obviously we're not really factoring that in at the moment for Surrender, but he still has that as a possibility, and therefore saving Starfall plus Swipe would be a pretty good way to, especially if the Loti is still alive, very likely clear up the board.
Time waits for no one.
So for example, we could see one swipe on the small minion on the Panther, and then trade in the Oasis Surger. I think this is smart. Okay. It looks a lot worse now, but it's a play specifically around King Phaeoris, which is a good reserved play by Tyler, because he knows if that comes down and he doesn't have an answer, the game ends. I think it's been a very well played game on both sides. I've liked
It's
a
been
lot
pretty
of what
close,
I've seen.
hasn't it?
Yeah. Like both players have made plays that I would say are definitely not the play I see at first glance, or not the play that I'm sure they would have seen at first glance as well. Not the obvious play, but have pretty discrete benefits as well.
It's why it's important I bring up sometimes that, like, although Druid seems very straightforward and powerful. True, I'm not arguing with that statement, but you can mess up, and if you mess up, like, you do die pretty often. In mirror matches, it's very tricky because your opponent is literally just as powerful as you are. So the swing turns are so hard that you can just one misstep and the game can end.
And I think a lot of that theory comes from the idea that it's very easy against aggro, in which case, you know, for the most part, I agree. When the quest's completed, you play your best card each turn and hope it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy, right?
But that's also often how, like, most decks are versus aggro. Like, most control decks or slower decks are versus aggro.
Yeah.
You try and just survive and outlast them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's the interaction between aggro and control decks. It's the same with Reno Mage, even of old, right? Where you just had to survive so you could drop Reno down heal and then just try and just stay on top of the rest of the game. Speaking of staying on top, this Loti's been alive for, as far as I'm aware, far too long for Surrender's
very
liking.
long time. Yeah, I mean,
The
it's
spell
been
damage
stealth
has
the
been
whole
doing.
time.
Spell damage has been doing the work.
It's been nuts. Very, very strong.
And 5, 6, 4. Is this just to fair us?
That's what I'm looking at.
No floop is super annoying when you play these cards.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's getting to the
got
point where he
Nomi.
can Nomi floop anyway.
You'd definitely rather go in this matchup, I think, considering they're both, like, not ridiculously far apart in the power they create. I mean, Nomi's quite a lot more power it actually creates.
Yeah.
So
I think
maybe
you'd rather
even the
floop
fact that
Nomi.
it's slower. It's just the fact that you could go for flooped Feoris next turn that might make it more tempting.
Well, the problem is, if you want to hold off because of floop, you can't also play any spells.
Yeah.
So what do you even do if you're not playing Feoris? If you want to save it for floop, I mean. Oh, is he?
Take this. Incredibly slow.
Is he trying to get? Just work out what card he's getting rid of. Because also Elise is there on the far left, right? And Elise makes a copy of the hand. The problem is the hand is very full right now.
I think dumping has many cards.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is not strong.
I mean, it wasn't a bad turn either.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like one of those
Yeah,
turns where you just dump cards, you're like, well, that sucked, but maybe it gets better later.
And it still sets up for a strong enough Feoris next turn when Tyler doesn't have the value trades, which is pretty important. And also the spell damage. Like, he knows that Starfall with spell damage on his board from King Feoris probably just dies.
I even wonder if, like,
What?
depending on obviously what Tyler does, there's a chance it's just like Ferocious Howl Elise. Because even though Elise wouldn't copy all of these cards, it's random which ones it makes copies of when there's not enough room.
Yeah. Every spell
like all the cards are good,
Yeah.
right? Like whatever copies you get are actually pretty good outside of Crystal Merchant.
And Tyler tried his absolute damnedest to save the Swipe and the Starfall for a King Feoris or a Chef Nomi board. Surrender says, nice try, not good enough. It's King.
Our power is in our.
Okay.
It's honestly why I don't think the card's that good. But have we really seen any?
This is still good for 10 mana. Like, if this is a lowercase scenario, you know, this is a big pile of stats.
It is. Maybe I'm just too obsessed with Malagos.
Yeah.
But like, Tyler would have been dead about 20 turns ago if this was Malagos Druid.
Well, maybe, but Surrender would also have a bunch of garbage cards in his hand the whole game.
What? You literally just
Moonfire.
swap out Chef. Okay. But it would have died to just Malagos Moonfire,
Maybe.
which you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even need
yeah.
to do anything. You
I
just kill them.
I think there's, at the very least, you could argue there's a lot of room to explore left in question.
Yeah, I agree. Let's play some Manly Druid this week, Derek.
That sounds delightful.
And now, I think the true factor, and the biggest point in the mirror, or the situation that creates the biggest impact in players, is card count. And you could say that for any mirror, but in this one specifically, like, there's no tricks you can do. It's literally just raw power against raw power, and if your opponent has more than you, you will lose. Whereas in other decks, you can do tricks, you'll eke out some more value. Whereas if you literally just don't have enough cards and your opponent does, it's so bad.
So we could see on this turn, Hidden Oasis, Innovate, Anubisath Defender, Elise, which would copy 4 cards.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Which means there wouldn't be an overdraw.
Yep.
It's something to consider. It's not the best set of cards that you're copying there, but I don't know. It's definitely something to consider on this turn. Because 2 Chef Nomis will be more than enough. He just needs to be able to outlast Zephyrus. Like, Zephyrus is the only thing that Surrender needs to be afraid of.
Yeah, as long as Surrender can guarantee the hit on Nomi with Elise, I think 2 Nomis.
Time waits for
It's
no
still
one.
Floop to draw. So it'll be 3 Nomis. It'll be Nomi,
Yeah.
Nomi, Floop.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying like at least 2.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Yeah, it's more than sign me up.
I think this is fine too, because copying Innovate with Elise is one of the better spells that you can copy.
And also as well, this is basically saying to Tyler, you have to play Zephyrus.
Fair enough.
into
It also
Twisted
just wins
Nether.
the game.
That, exactly, because it's just, he can just kill him because he knows there isn't that much AoE left. He knows Tyler's on 1 card to 2 cards, and outside of exactly Zephyrus into Twisted Nether, well, he just wins. So Surrender takes game number 1 there. There was some big swing moments, but
Yep.
I think overall, Surrender's build feels better, especially for the mirror, because your early game feels the same, apart from you can be a little bit more free with your late game because you just have more of it than in Tyler's list. But that was just game number 1. Got plenty more coming up. Surrender versus Tyler is going to continue after this break.
Welcome, recruits. I'm Alec Dawson, and today I'm here to teach you what it takes to be part of the League of Explorers. We need all the help we can get, because it's time to save old Doom. First things first. Being an explorer can be dangerous. The League of Evil has already stolen Dalaran, but now they're unleashing plagues in Old Doom, and they keep shuffling bombs into our decks. Luckily, Old Doom is stocked with ancient treasures that may give us a chance. We've already sent some of our best explorers to retrieve these powerful artifacts. But we need you to go out into the field too. Here's your quest: raid the Sky Temple. That may seem like a lot of spells, but you'll get there faster than you think. Once we complete our quest, we'll get the hero power Ascendant Scroll, which adds a mage spell to our hand and reduces the cost by 2. Ascendant Scroll allows us to load up on cheap spells for cards like Archmage and Tinnitus. Because if there's a way to defeat evil, it's fireballs to the face. Make no mistake though, the League of Evil has been leveling up too. Evil was powerful in Dalaran, but now they discovered something even more nefarious: teamwork. Here's Weaponized Wasp, one of Hagatha's new secret weapons. The laser on its head, courtesy of Blastmaster Boom. Weaponized Wasp plays well in aggressive lackey decks that look to take forward control early. In Saviors of Old Doom, expect to see lackey build-arounds in Shaman and Warlock. But don't worry, we also have a secret weapon. Bees! No, really, one of our junior explorers found a bee-controlling device deep in Kartut's tomb. It took us a few days to decipher the instructions, but it's quite the powerful tool. Here they come now, it's bees! A new druid spell. This efficient removal spell excels in token-based druid decks. Need some extra pings for Knife Juggler? Bees! Need some extra bodies for Soul of the Forest? Bees! Need anything at all? Bees! All right, that's all we have for today, Explorer. We've got one more training session to go before you'll be ready for the dangers of the desert. So sit tight, and I'll see you out there in Saviors of Old Doom.
ready to move straight into game 2 between Surrender and Tyler, and everything to play for here for Surrender. Currently leading 1-0, so it's looking good for him not to fall down 0-4 this week. But he does still have to finish up this series. And he's playing a deck I think he's only going to grow in popularity, which is going to be the Zoo Warlock going up against Tyler's Druid. And we've cast one of those today. You may have missed it because it lasted about 3 seconds with Alutimu versus Glory. And I think that's just a consistent outcome, if I'm completely honest.
I think
the deck's good.
I think this Zoo deck functions similarly enough, quite strangely, to Quest Paladin, where I think overall the power level of the deck is actually quite low when you factor it against, or at least middling. It's not overly powerful against a wide field of decks. But when you are in a Conquest format trying to target specific archetypes, it seems very, very strong indeed. Druid in particular, of course, we know it can absolutely dominate in that matchup in the early turns of the game. But I would say also against some of the kind of slower mid-rangey decks, you can just smork them down nice and early very, very easily.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's actually going to change next week in that we either see players play more aggressive in general, or we see players actually bringing a suite of control decks. And saying maybe they bring Mage, with all the freezes, maybe that comes back and it's more of just 2-off Mage, or maybe even Reno, and so on, because I feel like if you keep the clan as basic as, well, everyone brings Druid and Warrior, so I ban one and then play these decks, then the game gets in a weird state where everyone does the same thing. It's very circular, so we'll see what happens. But more importantly, let's get into this game. Surrender looking to get off to pretty okay start. Yeah,
the top deck of a lifetime there with the Mecharoo there for the... not even the perfect one drop. You'd obviously rather have Flame Imp quite drastically, but just anything to play on one there makes all the difference in the world.
The snap pass from Tyler again. We can just talk about it more and more, but now it's an off-curve, slightly delayed Wrath into Ferocious Howl into Oasis Surge.
Yeah, I think I like it here. I think when Glory was playing against Glory was playing against Alutimu in the first match of the day, there was a lot more reasoning to play off-curve because you could have Flaming with the Wrath. Whereas this instance, I think you could afford to let the Knife Juggle live in return. Ooh, unless Titanic Blacking comes down.
I think you always do that, right?
So what's the downside? Tyler could obviously play off curve to play bees to take it out in that instance.
Good.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I agree.
And then all the bees die as well because the 4 health on the juggler.
Yeah.
Oh, that Titanic Lackey, what an MVP.
I like that a lot.
Just gonna check the wait, how many turns do I have to deal with this? Annoyance.
Surely it's at 5 now.
It's turn 2. Oh, it feels like an age I've been taking damage. Really tough call.
Yeah, especially as it's just going to get even worse for Tyler next turn. I would be very unsurprised to see Grim Rally come down. Unless, of course, there's any way he can cheat out Sea Giant, which I don't think would be possible.
That you would potentially Magic Carpet Grim Rally something else just to get like a 2/7 Magic Carpet on the board?
Maybe.
It all depends on the draw, of course.
Yeah. I think Magic Carpet is fairly low priority to play, actually.
Could be Ethereal into X into Abusive into Grim.
Yeah.
I think definitely Grim Rally. You don't want to be swiped.
Yeah, maybe take it.
I just think Carpet and then just Grim Rally the 1/1. You have a 3/5, a 2/7, and a 3/3 on the board.
Doesn't set up particularly well into Oasis Surger because obviously it can value trade into the Knife Juggler.
That's a whole turn away.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of time.
I'm just wondering if there's any way you can make it even better than that, but I don't think so.
Well, I think the plan is you'll have a Giant down by then, so enjoy your 5/5s. Huh. I even forgot Demonic Project was still a card in rotation.
Me too. It seems like such a card of days gone by.
Those are terrible, though.
Those are terrible. I'm wondering if it's ever Demonic Project to snipe an Oasis Surger, but that feels horrendous. Instead, he's going for Big Sue.
I mean, it's not bad. If you ever lose the board, gone. And Tyler is never going to expect it.
I like this level of support. I think the Magic Carpet was tempting to get down, but overall it just equals low damage, and this equals very high damage, represent lethal next turn.
Yeah, at this second, before this Ferocious Howl is cast, it's 1 minion equals lethal. Yeah. Now obviously not with the armor, but again it's slow Tyler going down. 18, there's 10 damage on board.
Now for Tyler, he's looking potentially at an Innovate to have a chance in this game to get down Whoa. Forbidden Oasis next turn, or Hidden Oasis next turn.
Definitely on the juggler.
I like the look of that, yeah. I mean, it's just
Nice
perfect in the
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Because this even helps protect around Starfall very nicely as well. Like, there would still be enough damage to close out the
just
game.
good, isn't it? And Tyler is just dead. Play the Zephyrus, please. Please play the Zephyrus.
Tyler, please play the Zephyrus.
It would be great. 2 for 2. It's literally just game, isn't it?
I mean, it's just game. He has nothing else, yeah. I think Wrath into exactly Ferocious Howl is alive.
Maybe 11, and how many cards would he have?
Yay!
Yay!
I can see.
There we go, just as quick as that.
That matchup is just brutal for the Druid. There is nothing.
You just die, yeah, you just die. It's so difficult. Surrender takes the win and fends off the 0-4 potential for this week. He is now 1 and 3. Unfortunately, we won't be having an interview with Surrender, which breaks my heart, but I'll send him a message later on to see if I can get some words outside of the show for him as well. So good for him, though, because you just don't want to be there, do you? 1 and 3, you think, you know what, bad start. Okay, I've won 1 though. You can crack on it and maybe improve from there. But going 0-4 would just be would feel horrendous for me personally. If I was in the league and I went 0-4 at the start, I'd maybe cry.
I think I'd be like, yeah, this sounds about right. 0-4. I don't
what,
like
if I
it,
went 0-4?
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, unbelievable.
Completely expected.
But I think from Surrender, it's expected. I think 1-1 is a reasonable scoreline for his deck submissions this week. I don't think he went with anything too fantastic. It was, I think the Zoo was a decent bring given the high abundance of Druids. Obviously, I think it was fine. The Highlander Hunter, though, has just seemed like a bit of a dud this entire week, to be perfectly honest. We haven't seen it played that much at all because most players are just choosing it as their deck to not bother playing.
Yeah, I think it might have actually been a symptom of the patch only came out this week. There was limited time. You can't test everything.
Yeah.
So Highlander was pretty much unaffected by the patch in general, and it's just gone a little bit worse, I think, because of some of the matchups like Mage. People felt it was a good matchup. So I think it's more, I can play this deck. I know how this deck works. I'm used to it. It's fine. I've had a couple of weeks playing it. And so that's 1, and now what are my other 3 going to be? And those are the questions that really have been being asked of these players. Speaking of these players, we've got our next match. We're ready to